Today we are going to read Kierkegaard's In Context. There are four uh, main keys that expel Kierkegaard to write. First, the earthquake. Second, the broken engagement with Regina Olsen. And third is the Corsair affair, the confrontation with the newspaper, satire, Tyrol newspaper in Denmark. Fourth is the attack upon the Christendom. So this is four contexts uh, in Kierkegaard's writing. Let me read it. Kierkegaard in Context. In reading Kierkegaard, it would be a mistake to ignore the inner anguish of his own personal life. The currents of his thought spring forth from within as much as they do from his broader cultural setting. Although a complete biography of Kierkegaard is beyond the scope of this introduction, it is important for our purposes to understand the four significant crisis relationships in his life. Okay, crisis relationship with his father, with his fiancée, and with the public newspapers, and fourth with the church. This relationship constitute Kierkegaard the man, and grasping them in paramount in understanding him as a writer. First, the earthquake. Kierkegaard's father, Michael Pedersen Kierkegaard, was 57. His mother, Anna Sørenstadter Kierkegaard, 45, when he was born in 1813. Outwardly, his childhood was happy and calm. Morally and intellectually, he was formed by his father. He could afterwards say that everything was done to develop his mind as richly as possible, because he was his father's youngest child and his favorite. The intimacy between them was great, but Kierkegaard described his upbringing as an insane upbringing. His father was a pietistic, gloomy spirit, and an old man whose melancholy sat like a weight on his children. Kierkegaard's family was plagued by both physical and psychological instability. Only two of his children lived past age 34. Three of his sisters, then two of his brothers, then his mother had died in rapid succession. Kierkegaard's father was convinced that he would outlive all his children, a conviction his son apparently shared. Kierkegaard's brother Peter was forced to resign his position as bishop because of his emotional difficulties. Inwardly, Kierkegaard felt a gnawing sense of silent despair. From childhood on his own, he always felt under the power of monstrous blooding temperament. In an 1846 journal entry, he reflects, "An old man who himself was extremely melancholy gets a son in his old age who inherits all this melancholy, but who also has a mental, spiritual elasticity, enabling him to hide his melancholy." Elasticity, mental and spiritual elasticity. which is important. Furthermore, because he is essentially and eminently healthy of mind and spirit, his melancholy cannot dominate him, but neither is he able to throw it off. At best, he manages to endure it. Early on, Kierkegaard realized that there was a strange inconsistency between his father's piety and his inner unrest, inconstancy. In another journal entry, he writes, "The greatest danger for a child where religion is concerned is not that his father or teacher should be an unbeliever, not even his being an hypocrite. No, the danger lies in their being pious and God-fearing and..." Okay, next page. How can I turn to next page? Okay. In the child being convinced thereof, but that he should nevertheless notice that deep within there lies hidden a terrible unrest. The danger is that the child is provoked to draw a conclusion about God, that God is not infinite love. Eventually, a break conquered between Kierkegaard and his father, age 1835. Maybe his age is 21. It was no doubt related to his father's confession of his childhood cursing of God and his sexual impropriety. Kierkegaard's mother, his father's second wife, had been one of the family's maid. Kierkegaard's father had seduced her, discovered she was pregnant, and felt compelled to marry her. On discovering the reality of his father's weakness, Kierkegaard had always admired his strict piety. He was shattered. As he described it later, the revelation was great earthquake, terrible upheaval that suddenly forced on me a new infallible interpretation of all phenomena. At first, the discovery disturbed Kierkegaard's entire moral outlook, throwing him into a period of dissipation and despair during which he completely neglected his theological studies at the university. Eventually, however, Kierkegaard began to suspect that his life was to be spent for some extraordinary purpose. Prior to the death of Kierkegaard's father, 1838, the two managed to reconcile. Okay, that's good. Let me use green pen. Kierkegaard realized that his father had left an incredible, indelible mark on his life. His call to a life of religious service, his intellectual gifts, his sense of absolute obedience, even his melancholy was all part of inheritance for which he came to be grateful. He saw that he had been mistaken concerning his family's curse. Now felt under obligation to redeem his promise to his father and complete his university studies, which he did over the next 2 years. Okay, in this first, the earthquake, the great earthquake. What is the great earthquake? And what are the two sins of his father? And what's the result of this family curse? And how Kierkegaard uh, overcome this family weakness? That is the thing first thing that you have to reflect today.